Here is how I fully polished my Technics 1200 turntables. Here's one before I went through the procedure of polishing it. The paint was a little scratched up and old, and I couldn't get it to come out right, polishing it and waxing and all that stuff. So first step is to disassemble turntable. I will not go through the process of disassembling it and taking it all apart because there's a lot of tutorials and videos that show you how to do it, so for time's sake we won't do that here. Step 2 is safety first. Wear gloves and safety glasses. I highly recommend that you do that. I started off without gloves, and not a good idea. The paint remover will burn your skin. So step 3 is to apply the aircraft paint remover with a brush. Fairly easy to do. I sourced everything locally. I'll leave links on how to get it on Amazon, and it'll save you a little bit of money that way. Just have to wait about a day or two. Spread it around with a brush. Make sure you get the ends. It's a gel, so it sticks on pretty good. Leave it on for about 30 minutes. Then step 4 is to scrape with a plastic scraper or spatula. I don't recommend to use a metal one because aluminum is a soft metal and it will scratch easily. It'll have deep scratches or gouges. So I recommend using plastic. It's softer and it won't damage anything. Step 5 is to wash off paint remover and scrub with a sponge. So first wash off the paint remover, and after about 30 minutes or so, look at the directions on the can, and it'll tell you about how long to leave it on. Then scrub it with a rough sponge to get all that stuff off. You might have to do steps 1 through 5 multiple times until you get the paint off. Step 6 is actually multiple steps, but it's the same process. It's sandpaper and WD40. You start with a coarse sandpaper, like a 220, spray it with WD40 and sand it. Don't forget to do where the 45 adapter goes, because it's a pain in the butt to come back and do it later. So there, just spray the whole top of the turntable, the aluminum, and spread it with your fingers or preferably something else. I'm work on cars at times and I'm used to the oils and stuff, but it's really not the best thing for you, so I recommend to wear gloves or something. And then just sand. The sandpaper you should use should be wet dry sandpaper so that it doesn't fall apart on you while you're doing this. And just start at one corner and work your way around. Once again, make sure to do the sides and where the 45 adapter goes. It gets tedious if you polish the whole top of it and then you have to go back and do the sides and all the little nooks and crannies. Ask me how I know. Well, it happened to me on the first one. Okay, so once you get to the 400, now after that it's the 800. Basically the same process. You do it. Then you go to the 1000. Same thing. This is why I considered this one step, because it's basically the same thing. You just have to gradually go to a finer sandpaper to get it as smooth and as polished as possible. It's a good idea to clean the turntable with a cloth before you go on to the next sandpaper. After that, it's the 1200. Try to keep it clean because you will have grit from the previous sandpaper. Move on to the 1500, and it can scratch your turntable, your aluminum. Then you go to the 2000 if you don't clean it. So make sure you clean your work area and wipe down the sandpaper and wipe down the turntable. That way you don't have to go back and redo something because you had stuff from the last sandpaper. Then you go to the 2500 and the 3000, and using the same process, just gradually build up to the 5000. I like to change direction. I discovered that if you change direction, it's easier to see where you've already sanded. If you go side to side and then up and down on the next one, it's easier. Give it a good wash, get all the oils out, make sure you get all the little nooks and crannies, the sides where the 45 adapter goes, and then at this point you'll see that it's coming along. Once I got to this point, I was very happy. I knew that I was going to keep it this way because you can see your reflection, and it just starts really coming to life and looks a lot better. Give it a good wipe down with a soft towel, get it all nice and dry, so you can go to the next step, which is the steel wool. You do the same thing as you did with the sandpaper, a little bit of WD40, use the quadruple zero, that's 4 zeros, steel wool, and give it a good rub down. Step 8, once you wash the turntable again, is to polish it with polishing cream. You can use your favorite. I had Mother's. I had this Blue Magic. I decided to go with the Blue Magic because my Mother's cream was a little old, so I went ahead and did that. Use the drill with the polishing pad on it, and just carefully went around, spread the polishing cream, and then went over it with the polishing wheel on the drill and carefully polished the whole thing. Started at one end just like the sanding and went around the whole thing a few times. Make sure you keep it moist. Don't let the polishing cream dry. Don't do it with too high of a speed because it might leave burn marks or something. When you're doing this, it might not look like it's going to come out right. You might see fine scratches, but especially if you have a light right above you, it brings out everything. But don't worry about it. Once you get it in regular lighting, it looks great. After the polishing pad, then give it a good hand polish all the way around, and wipe off all the excess polishing cream, and that's pretty much it. Once you get to that point and it's all nice and clean with a clean soft cloth, cotton. I used cotton. I actually used old rags that I had laying around. I was going to donate a bunch of clothes and stuff. Got some t-shirts, some soft cotton cloths, or you can purchase some. There's some on Amazon. They're fairly inexpensive, and the cleaner the better. I went through quite a few of them, and that's it. That's great reflection on it. Looks like chrome. Get a lot of compliments. People that see them. I don't take these turntables out to gigs too often, but when I do, I really get complimented on them. Step 9, of course, is to reassemble. If you've done this before, it's not real difficult, but you do have to know what you're doing and be real careful, and that's the final product. Looks awesome. I love the way these things look. I could have went with a faceplate or something, but I like doing stuff like this. It's I like little projects and learning new things and showing people and being able to say that I did this, and that's how it looks now. Thanks for watching.